Let me just double check where we are, everybody. I see it going. Facebook, Periscope, DLive, YouTube. Thank you guys. And Twitch should be live shortly if it's not already. What's up, everybody? I am James Hake. As you know, this is the Hake Report. Wednesday, what is it? September 9th, 2020. 2 days till the, what it would be the 19th anniversary since 9/11/01. I don't know if you should call it an anniversary, but whatever. And you can call in 888-775-3773. I'm going to be talking about the disgusting liberals inside of the DHS and affiliated, referenced by the DHS, Department of Homeland Security. Keep in mind, most of our government institutions are corrupt, filled with dumb liberals who don't have a handle on reality. They are eggheads, intellectual eggheads, who are anti-Christian, anti-white, anti-America, even when some of them may mean well. We're growing up in like a mass culture of backwards reality where people pretend that whites are the problem. And you keep it up, and they too are becoming problematic, full of problems. Yes, it's true. I will be talking about some silly news. Some of these are referenced by universities, and universities, as we all know, have been subverted. Stanford University offered a course in racial terror, saying it's impossible to think outside of white supremacy or something like that, something dumb like that. But I'm going to be covering some of what I covered in Hake News today, a little bit more details than what you got. But you can call in 888-775-3773. Line's almost full, at least one line open, though. But anyway, let's get on with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La, la, la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La, la, la.
Hey, guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La, la, la.
So, isn't it interesting, the kiss-up culture that we have in which people don't want to accept reality? People just deny reality, and then they accuse Trump of denying reality, when Trump is the most based in reality person that we have in the government. It's crazy. Very nice, though. I guess it kind of is eye-opening to what we're dealing with. Nice to see what you're dealing with, right? I think so. And do not be distraught or dismayed or wake up depressed and fearful every morning. Because imagine if Trump woke up fearful every morning. A lot of us talk about, oh, Trump is wrong about this and this and this, and he should be stronger on this and this and this. But think about it. He's the man for the job. He just is. Most of us who have all our petty criticisms of him, and some of them I don't think they're petty necessarily, right? But those of us who have our criticisms of him, dude, you think we could? He's where he is because he got he got where he is. He earned it, and he's handling it as well as anybody can, I think. So right on to him. And he's in a government that's overrun, including inside of his own executive branch, overrun with liberals. And by liberals, I mean enemies of America, enemies of white people, but not just white people. They are enemies of black people. They're just pretending to be on the side of justice when they're nothing of the sort. It's crazy. When Trump is a friend to all people. I will be getting to your calls. I have my second favorite caller on the line. I think I mistakenly referred to Maze as my second favorite caller. Maybe she should be demoted, but I still have Earl as my second favorite caller. He's on the line, and some others as well, talking about mail-in fraud and Black Lives Matter and the military, and oh my gosh, the generals themselves. You know, I told you guys. Did I tell you guys? Or did you catch it when I told you? I don't know if I went into depth with this, but it's so crazy that James Mad Dog Mattis, Jim Mattis, a former Marine, is once a Marine, always a Marine, I guess. I don't know. You can call him a Marine. Seemingly, we thought he was a respectable man, but even he fell. I think he's 70, right? So he's a boomer, and he fell for the dumb racism lie. Fallen for the notion. He put out this statement, right? It was put out by Politico and covered by all the liberal media, including Politico is liberal, that, we should ignore or not get distracted by the minority of violence going on in these riots, right? He wrote this in June when there were some violent riots overreacting to George Floyd incident, which took place, I guess, at the end of May. And he wrote this thing at, I believe, the end of June, kissing up to the notion that, blacks have a valid complaint. No, they don't. No, they don't. Not whatsoever. You got to deal with the big problems, and the big problems are from their own lack of reform. They need to reform themselves, not the cops. Police reform and criminal justice reform? Nope. No. If you're an upstanding, moral person, maybe then you can start looking at the cops. But none of these people are wolves in sheep's clothing, all of them who concern themselves with so-called racial injustice. Please, the racial injustice is the pretense, which is an injustice and a disservice to the blacks. The blacks are the victims, and whites are the perpetrators. It's the reverse. It just is. What's up to Beard the Butcher? I got a reply to you, but he gave a diamond and said, "Hey, guys." Nice. Before I get to calls, I want to read a little bit more in depth from the Department of Homeland Security. I told you about them fear-mongering about whites. White supremacy is the most persistent and lethal threat to the United States in terms of terrorism, right? Because they don't count crime. They don't count just regular violent crime, which is dominated by not whites. The CNN reports that there were a few drafts that leaked, incidentally, of the State of the Homeland Threat Assessment 2020. We judge that ideologically motivated lone offenders with white supremacists, extremists presenting the most lethal threat will pose the greatest terror threat to the homeland in 2021. That's because, thank God for Trump, that if this is even true, right, that he's squashed some of the threat from the tiny minority of Muslims who've been coming in. But isn't it interesting that whites in their own country think that they have to resort to terrorism? And so the Homeland Security, I poked around on the Homeland Security website, DHS.gov. Homeland Security was formed, Department of Homeland Security was formed by Bush and the Congress and whatever after 9/11, 2001, after the Muslim terrorists flew into the buildings in New York. I believe they flew into the Pentagon. Some claim it was a missile. But, I found this little snippet article talking about addicted to hate. Identity is residual among former white supremacists. And some dumb eggheads did a study about people who got out of so-called white supremacy, which I know very few people who would even consider themselves superior, right? They talk about advances in cognitive sociology. We examine how a rejected identity can persist despite a desire to change. Disengagement from white supremacy is characterized by substantial lingering effects that subjects describe as addiction. We conclude the discussion of the implications of identity residual for understanding how people leave and for theories of the self. Theories of the self. This is a replacement of religion. This phony intellectualism to so-called help people overcome their racism. 89 former U.S. white supremacists they supposedly interviewed, these people. And I have pictures of these people and a little bit of details about them. The ASA, American Sociological Association. These are the experts that people want you to listen to, rather than a pastor or common sense, God. They don't believe in God, these people. They believe in, look at these people. Is this somebody that you want, are these people that you want to look to overcome hate in America? And hate is not primarily coming from the whites. There is a minority who are getting sick of it, right? And they don't have faith, so they think that they have to resort to some type of extreme action, right? But look at this lady. Look at this man. What the heck? That man that you're looking at right there, his name is Steve Windischt at Temple University. Just look at him. Is he somebody that you're going to want to trust? Nope. Nobody at any university, pretty much, are you going to want to trust to address what's going on in the country. Look at him. That is a cartoon video game version of Colin Kaepernick. I'm going to get to him later. But I guess these are authors of this study called Addicted to Hate, Identity is Residual, as if having an identity in your whiteness is a problem. Why am I seeing all these signs? Support black-owned business. Spread love. Yeah, love for the black people. But you do the same thing with whites. We all know that that's a no-no. That's hate. This other guy, show the next picture of these people. I want to show each of them and just give you a background on these people. If you're listening, don't worry about it. Well, the first guy I showed you, he had this big beard. He's bald. He looks young, and he looks goofy. This guy at least looks older and a little bit dignified, but when you look at what he writes, I guess, is this Matthew DeMichelle or is this Pete Simi? Pete Simi, of a Chapman University professor, author of American Swastika, Inside the White Power Movement's Hidden Spaces of Hate. So he's into some niche thing, which is a tiny issue in America. A tiny little club. Most of them are not into violence. They're just upset with what the country is doing, and they're at a loss of what to do. Some of them may have ideas. Many of them are not Christians, and so they're kind of they are faithless. And this man, too, is every bit as faithless and blind, I dare say, as they are. Kathleen Blee, this woman, professor of sociology, right? Look at this lady. She just looks evil. At University of Pittsburgh, sociology is another, trying to get away from all things Christian and true religion, right? Author of Women in the Klan, Inside Organized Racism and Understanding Racist Activism. And then she covers this, she had this book called Democracy in the Making, How Activist Groups Form. And talking about animal rights, same-sex marriage activism, global peace, etc. I don't know what side she's on in terms of those issues, but these people have this hang-up with whites, and it's not based in reality, big picture reality. And then the last guy, Matthew DeMichelle. These are the people that are cited by the Department of Homeland Security. goofy guy at the Criminal Justice Research Center at Penn State. Criminologists and all these people are liberals. They're kissing up to the media, kissing up to the phony idea of racism, and claiming that white supremacists are the major threat. Meanwhile, we're looking at our TVs and looking out the windows and looking out at the cities, driving around, seeing all the results of actual hate and violence and terrorism by Black Lives Matter, by Antifa, and by the attack on America, the attack on white people. What a sick group of people. And they are the experts that the government wants you to listen to. And that is in the executive branch. And what can Trump do? Fire everybody? That would be nice. But I don't think that that would work. I don't think that he would even be able to fire everybody. And where do you start? He couldn't even hire the right people, right? He hired James Mad Dog Mattis, who turned out to be a kiss-up to Black Lives Matter. He kissed up to them. The Rochester police chief says Evgeny Crosby and entire force resigned, or most of the leadership part or something like that. I don't know the whole story, but he says that the police chief, the black dude, yeah, I saw that he resigned yesterday. And it's the 7th night of riots and protests in Rochester, New York, over a druggy PCP overdosing guy. I think it was overdosing, right? Was he? Freaking out, running around naked. I would call that an overdose, right? Running around naked. His own brother calls the cops. And then his own brother claimed that it was cold-blooded murder, what the cops did by putting a spit guard on him. A hood over his head to prevent him from spitting on them. During the COVID crisis, by the way. The cops putting their health on the line, and then they're getting accused of murder for it by this dumb guy who got himself dead. That would be Daniel Prude. His brother, Joe Prude. I saw it in Wikipedia. Look it up. He called the cops cold-blooded murderers. He said this was cold-blooded murder. Didn't he? I'm pretty sure he did. Backwards. Very backwards. And, you know, CNN, and by the way, is criticizing President Trump for saying they're fine people on both sides of the Charlottesville situation, where the white people and civic nationalists, people who have common sense, don't want General Lee's statues taken down 100 years after the fact, or 80, 90 years after the fact, after they've been put up, more than 100 years in some cases. And he called Black Lives Matter too. The writing of Black Lives Matter on, what street is that? 5th Avenue or whatever in New York. Beautiful 5th Avenue. He called it a symbol of hate that Bill de Blasio was painting Black Lives Matter, which is a hate group. They hate whites, they hate cops, they hate blacks. They're worse people. Last year, acting Homeland Security Secretary, currently it's this guy named Chad Wolf. I don't know much about him. I don't quite trust him. But last year it was Kevin McAleenan, or McAleenan, whatever. I call him McAleenan. McAleenan? McAleenan. Said that white supremacist extremism is one of the most potent ideologies driving acts of violence in the U.S. Ridiculous. We did a Rockfin exclusive on Jesse Lee Peterson's Rockfin, and I did predict, we are due for another crazy, evil attack by some person, dumb person, in order that the left can attack our guns rights and attack white people and blame white people for it. Maybe a white guy, or maybe not. It hasn't happened in a few months now, right? Or several months or a year. I thought that maybe something like that might happen again because it seems to just keep on happening over and over. It's not like society is really getting better. Some of it is. There's pockets of society that are getting better. Amongst Bond and the Jesse Lee Peterson show listeners and Church with Jesse Lee Peterson and the Fallen State listeners and viewers and Get a Job's Savage Moments viewers, many of them are turning themselves around or not, or turning around. I don't know if they can turn themselves around, but eyes opening. So in those senses, things are getting better. A lot of people waking up from seeing Trump and seeing the evil attacks against Trump, because evil is getting unmasked. It's crazy. But this Kevin McAleenan saying, quote, in our modern age, the continued menace of racially based violent extremism, particularly white supremacist extremism, is an abhorrent affront on the nation. The struggle and unity of its diverse population. Affront to the struggle and the unity of its diverse population. He said in a speech at Brookings Institution almost a year ago. That's Kevin McAleenan, who I think Trump appointed. You don't know who's going to be decent. For the most part, they're not going to be decent people. People are just suckers. He released the department's counterterrorism strategy when he was saying mess like this. Foreign terrorism and domestic terror threats. Particularly white supremacism. What a shame. Let me get to some calls. But first, Jenny Crosby 2020 says, Marcus Jones wants you to have his opioid money, Hake. Wow, thank you. I thought he'd given it all to Jesse. But thank you, Jenny Crosby. Appreciate you. And shout out to the people donating on streamlabs.com/the Hake Report. By the way, somebody advised that I look into entropy. Entropystream.live/Hake. Let me see if it works by itself or what. It says it's offline. Maybe I have to sign in before I start streaming. I don't know. Sign in. See what's going on. I don't know how it works. I looked into it. I created an account in Entropy Stream. It's a nice place on which you can do your thing. But I don't know. I don't know how it works. But I appreciate the tip. I'll continue looking into it. Maybe a young, smart Zoomer millennial guy like Nick can help me figure it out. He should do that for the Jesse Lee Peterson show, too. Anyway, let me get to... It's only prudent to get to my second favorite caller, Earl from Michigan. Been on hold forever. Earl, how are you?
Hola. Hola, buenos dias, James Hake.
Hey, you have any Hispanics in your neighborhood?
Yeah.
Okay. Where'd you learn Spanish?
Just around about. So let me get to what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You know, I was happy to be listening to Jesse Lee Peterson.
Uh-huh.
And he told one caller, he said that if all you had to do was forgive your father to become a Christian. What a bunch of baloney.
Oh, yeah. Earl is banned from calling the Jesse Lee Peterson show because he's so shallow. So he's calling my show to complain about Jesse.
No.
What a loser.
I just make comments just like I would on his show.
Loser.
But evidently, you were scared as he is to talk to me. But
evidently.
Yeah. And this other caller that...
and this is a guy who's a male Democrat, hates white people, thinks he's a Christian.
According to you. who hate black people.
Supports people who, and you hate black people. He supports people who support abortion.
And you hate black people.
He
Is there any
supports
question
people
that
who
you hate black
support
people?
same-sex marriage, and he's dumb, blind, overgrown, too old
Don't
to
you
be
hate
this.
black people?
Huh?
Don't you hate black people?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's a yes.
That's not a
But
yes.
this other caller on this show talked about not wearing a mask, as if that's some sign of
Earl,
being tough.
you told the screener that you wanted to talk about Trump and Black Lives Matter and the military. Why are you lying?
I'm not lying. I said other things too.
No.
So,
no. I don't accept that.
No.
You wanna-
No, you sound like a little sissy. But,
Shut up.
yeah,
Shut
we
up.
can go into that. We can go into
He
that.
said I sound like a little sissy. What a jerk.
You know, you talked yesterday.
Is it true that you wear a mask at home?
No. Did I say that?
No, it's what Fan of the Lady said.
Is it true that you're an idiot?
Yes.
We should tell the truth on something. But you went on yesterday about Breonna case and Marbury case and George Floyd and others.
Yeah, you know why? I brought those up?
No, I don't care. But
Let me tell you why I brought them up. I don't care that you don't care.
You go in this long, drawn-out speech about how you had to take 2 hours to say your point. Why don't you just let me make the point of what I was saying?
Because I'm the boss and I do what I want.
Shut up.
This Hake's house, as Nicolas says. Gorgonzola. Shout out to Gorgonzola on D Live. So
you like to dominate the conversation. Just
of
go
course.
Ahead.
I'm the host. I'm supposed to dominate the conversation.
Just like one of your callers say,
I put them on hold. So I brought up those cases because this tennis player, what's her name again? She's 22, 23 years old, dating a male black American rapper who participated in dumb Black Lives Matter protests and riots, got himself arrested, I believe. She's wearing a face mask at tennis events, pro tennis events. This Naomi Osaka, black Japanese young lady. And I use the term lady a little bit loosely because she's not acting very ladylike, even though she's a nice, shy girl. Half Haitian, half Japanese, and meddling in American politics like she knows what she's talking about. She knows nothing of what she's talking about, pretending that Trayvon Martin is a victim. He's not. He was a perpetrator. He got himself killed in self-defense. Pretending that Ahmaud Arbery is a victim. He got himself killed in self-defense. It looked like to me. Maybe you can criticize how the whites acted. Pretending Breonna Taylor is an innocent victim. She was sleeping with, it seemed like she might have been sleeping with a boyfriend who was into some things. She may have been under investigation herself. Her previous boyfriend was a drug dealer. Police had a warrant for a no-knock raid. The media lied about it, I think. Did the media lie about it and say that they went to the wrong house? I don't know if they went to the wrong house. They claim that that the cops went to the wrong house. But anyway, long story short, she was caught in the crossfire, pretending it's racism. Please. This dumb young lady, although she is probably every bit as smart as Earl, who's not smart, fallen for this dumb racism lie. That's why I brought those cases up, Earl. Anyways, I'm done. Go ahead.
Yeah, you were right about her name is Osaka.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they also have, I think on the covers around the stadium, Black Lives Matter.
What a disgrace, huh? Hate symbols.
Yep.
Hate symbols.
I know that just irks you, doesn't it? But
you love hate. You like hate.
With your white
You like hate.
You do.
You like hate, Earl. You like hating white people and
do.
blacks, Earl?
You do.
No, I'm
talk
asking.
about
How about
black-
you? How about you, Earl?
No, I just put a mirror to your face and tell you things that you leave out.
No, you don't.
That's what you and Jesse couldn't handle.
No, you're
When I
full
point
of
out
hate,
when you're wrong,
and you're lame.
and when you left out something, I'll point to the full story, not just your spin.
Okay, whatever, Earl.
You know, by the way, I assume you never watched that.
Why don't you guys, you and Maze, ever look at yourselves?
Don't change the subject.
No, this is the subject. You brought up
When you gonna look at
hatred.
yourself?
You brought up
When
hatred
are you
and
gonna
racism.
Look at yourself.
Shh.
When have you ever looked at yourself?
I look at myself. I do look at myself. Earl, how come you don't look at yourself?
I don't have to.
Okay, interesting. Go on.
You know, I assume you didn't look at the video of Robert Patillo, who dismisses every argument you have, and you and
No, I didn't bother
Brandon
looking at that
Tatum.
mess.
No, because he categorically disarms every argument you have about Arbery.
Not true. Not true.
You haven't looked at it, have you? So
No,
you don't know.
I don't need to look at it. You don't
Yeah,
see
you
clearly.
do. Because you can't understand the law
No,
in Georgia.
you don't understand
He
law.
does. He understands the law. He practices it.
I
He
put-
explains to you.
Did he?
explains
Hey,
why
hey, Earl,
Brandon Tatum
Earl,
and
Earl.
you,
Earl.
James, shut the hell up and let me-
Whoa. This is a family show. Earl, don't be
so
saying
hell
that.
is not hell is not a.
Hey. I told you. Be quiet. So,
I'm not your boy. You don't tell me to be quiet.
yes, I do.
You know, no.
Well, you better
Huh?
watch
You
it.
talking about-
You better watch it.
You
Okay.
better watch it. Man, you're just a little young punk trying to tell me to be quiet.
I'm the host, and I'm trying to keep it family friendly, and you're
Oh, I'm keeping
defending
it
saying
family
hell.
friendly.
Anyway,
When did that word become a curse word?
I don't know, but I grew up not
Just
being
shut
able,
up.
not
You're
being.
just offended by it.
I'm just helping the kids not have to listen to you cussing.
That's not cursing.
Whatever. Okay, Jesse. Because Jesse says the B word, and he was raised thinking that's just a country word. But anyway,
Go ahead.
has Robert Patillo or Patillo, whatever this dumb liberal guy's name is, has he ever debated Stefan Molyneux, who was well acquainted with the Ahmaud Arbery case and citizens arrest and all that? Has he debated Stefan Molyneux?
I doubt if he ever debated that guy.
Yeah, me
but
too.
He commented on Tatum, on Brandon Tatum's comment, because he knew Brandon Tatum didn't know what the hell he was. I mean, what he was talking about.
I appreciate you correcting yourself. Anyway,
Yeah,
Earl.
so the same argument you have, he dismissed it so clearly that you suppose.
If it was so clear, you would be able to dismiss it as well. But no, I don't think that he does.
To. I want you to hear it for yourself. So
Hey, Earl, let's entertain this Ahmaud Arbery case. All right. Let's say that the white guys were completely wrong for entrapping the guy like a rabbit, like they were hunting a rabbit. Let's say.
According to the law in Georgia.
Okay. All right. Let's say that they were. A citizen's arrest was not valid. Let's pretend.
Don't have to pretend. It's a
Okay.
fact.
All right. You don't have to pretend. Well, what do you expect an armed man to do who's carrying a rifle, and maybe he did wrong all the way up leading up to this, but the guy attacks him and tries to take his gun from him and all that? What's he supposed to do? Is he supposed to just let the guy have the gun?
No, he wasn't
Is he supposed to
chase
just? Is he supposed?
He wasn't supposed to chase him and put himself in that predicament in the first place.
Right. That's what you claim. Oh, we already established that we're pretending that that's right,
He
Earl.
was wrong from the get-go.
Okay, all right. What do you expect the white?
Let me explain.
Hold on,
That's
Earl.
why-
What do you expect the white guy to do once he has the gun and the black guy is attacking him with the gun, punching him in the face and grabbing at his gun, what do you expect the white guy to do? You expect him to just take it and let the guy take his gun and take the beating and maybe even shoot him?
No, he put himself in that spot, and whatever happens, he got to prove he was in the right.
No. What? Answer the question, Earl. Earl.
That he
Earl.
chased.
What? Answer the question. What do you expect
I'm
the white guy to
question.
do? No, you just went back in time.
You can't.
You went back in time, Earl. You can't answer the question because you don't want to be honest.
I'm being honest, but
no, you don't. You're not being honest. If you were in that situation,
you want to completely avoid the scenario that he was wrong.
No,
and therefore,
I didn't avoid it. Hey, Earl. I told you maybe they were wrong with that. Yeah, maybe so. That's not it. That's not it.
He can't justify anything else.
That's not it, Earl.
He cannot justify or take it because of.
You're a dishonest person, Earl. You're not an honest person.
The guy had to stand his ground. You can't, as Patillo explained, you can't assemble a posse.
Earl. So listen, the guy, let's pretend that he did wrong. What is he supposed to do?
And that's it.
Earl, what's he supposed to do once the black guy is attacking him when he has the gun? What's he supposed to do?
You mean once he comes out with a gun and daring a white guy the black guy to continue on his way? You mean what's he supposed to do?
What's he supposed to do once they're in that situation?
What was the black guy supposed to do when he's cornered and so forth? What was he supposed to do?
Surrender.
No, he wasn't. He's not the police. He was wrong in the first place. He wasn't supposed to be
So you can't answer the question. Thanks, sir. I gotta go. You're pretty lame.
That's something you can't understand.
I do understand it. I understand and I acknonledge maybe they did wrong in the first place. Maybe not.
You don't want to watch
but you don't understand citizens' arrest. Earl. You're lame. Have you ever heard of citizens' arrest?
Yes, that's what I'm explaining to you.
But you're ignoring the fact that they're already that's already gone. That's already gone.
That's what listen. That's why Robert Patillo explained it, just like I did. You cannot chase
You couldn't explain what Earl. You couldn't explain what the white guy is supposed to do.
If it's not a felony, and just a misdemeanor.
You don't know what it was. He was suspected. They had a reasonable suspicion that this guy violated the law.
No matter. It was a misdemeanor.
No, they don't know what this guy did. Earl, be quiet. You're being dumb.
It was an open piece of property. Other folks was going in and out.
Hey,
of
Earl. Let's pretend you and I meet on the street, and I have a gun and you attack me. What do you expect me to do? You expect me to defend myself?
If you was in the right,
No if. Doesn't matter what the situation was. Do you expect me to defend myself, Earl?
You put in certain circumstances, then I should put in certain
No, ignore the circumstances. What do you expect me to do?
Because that's what makes it either right or wrong.
You're ignoring reality, Earl. You're ignoring reality.
I attack you
hate the truth.
For no reason.
Phony person.
And you have a right to stand your ground.
All right, goodbye, Earl. Goodbye, Earl.
Adios, amigos. Learn something.
Such a shame. They can't face it. He couldn't answer the question. When did Earl get a criminal justice degree? Asks Hydro PX. And he says, when did Earl get a criminal justice degree? Yeah. They had a reasonable suspicion that he committed a crime. Seems like they had a reasonable motive to conduct a citizen's arrest. But let's say that they did wrong. Ahmaud Arbery acted erratic, and he acted erratic with cops. He went up at the cop. When the cop tried to go into his car, he's like, whoa. And then the cop's like, whoa. And maybe he had the right not to have his car searched, I guess. But he was a wild young man. Got himself killed. Let me get to Melvin in Baltimore, Maryland. First time caller. Melvin.
Hi, sir. I'm well. How are you?
Well as well. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I have a quick question. Why do you put up with that? Like, it's an argument that it's not going to go anywhere.
I just like to see if he'll ever be honest or answer a question.
Nah, I think Jesse's right. Suffer and die.
Yeah, you might be right.
But I have 2 points to make.
Okay.
One, everybody's worried about the Democratic hacking the mail-in ballots. And I was thinking about this, and I'm shocked nobody else in politics has brought it up. Why not take a blockchain app, back it up with a Social Security network, and create an app where you put your Social Security number on it and you can vote from your cell phone. And it's the people that, or for instance, if older people don't have cell phones, I'm sure they have like a grandson or granddaughter or daughter or son that they can use. That way, blockchain makes it inhackable, and you have pretty much an honest election.
I don't understand all that, but there are ways to have an honest election. I think we should get back to the basics, and in-person stuff is nice, but we need voter ID. That might work. I don't know. But these people...
Well, your Social Security number is just as good as your voter's ID card or your
Not really.
driver's license.
I mean, those things, yeah, okay, but the Social Security number, people get fake Social Security numbers. Go to MacArthur Park and get your fake Social Security number.
Well, you can back it up through, like, the IRS or some kind of government platform where, like, they pretty much have everybody's Social Security number back to it.
The problem is that we have a corrupt government that looks the other way and allows these illegals to stay here.
Oh, true. You make a valid point with that. You can't argue that. And my second point is, are you familiar with the 1932 Barnett Bonus Army?
No.
Okay, back in 1932, Hoover was president. It's the same thing right now as Black Lives Matter. The Democratic Party promised bonuses for everybody to go off and fight in World War I.
Wow.
Well, it was never given to them, so they protested in D.C. When Hoover was in office and created a whole bunch of chaos. The military had to come in, shut it down, and everything else. It's the same thing going on now with BLM.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party is running the same playbook. During the bonus army, they were trying to get Hoover out of office by creating so much chaos, just like BLM's doing now. So if you go back in history and look at it, it's just repeating itself. The Democratic Party is running the same playbook they did back in 1932.
Yeah. Interesting. They like to sow discord, for sure, and chaos, like what you said. And they're evil people. They're just all about spoiling you and then threatening with, we need to help the kids. Give us more money. We need to fix the roads. When they could have fixed the roads with many times over, a long time ago. What a shame.
But it's all through fear. The Democratic Party is just tyranny. They just fearmongers. And you got CNN, you got MSNBC backing them up.
Right.
Where the true facts can't even come out. You're being deplatformed on like Twitter and YouTube.
Yeah.
CDC just came out and said for healthy human beings, the virus has only killed 9,000 people. Majority of the deaths have came from people with secondary illnesses, not counting Cuomo, which took sick people and put them in nursing homes.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's the Grim Reaper of New York City.
And you know what? You have the DHS and government institutions who are supporting the mainstream media lies of fear-mongering. Like what I just told you guys about with the white supremacist terrorism stuff. Giving an excuse probably to clamp down more on the social media platforms on free speech. What a shame. On truth, actually. I appreciate it, Melvin. Thank you for the tips.
All right. Thank you very much. You have a great day.
You as well. Oh, let me get to Tony and you know what? Let me get to Tony in California. Tony,
Hey,
what do you
how
want?
you doing?
I'm doing
How
fine.
you doing? Hey, all right, sir. Yeah, I observed that your boys, your best friends, got arrested yesterday for beating
Where?
people up with a baseball bat.
Who are my best friends?
The Proud Boys.
And where did they get arrested?
They was at some type of rally. I think they was at the a gay rally because that's who they were beating up, gay people.
It doesn't sound like the whole story.
Well, hey, you can look it up for yourself, my friend.
Not
And
interested,
see for
thanks.
yourself.
Not
They
that
are
interested.
They are beating people up with a baseball. Double gang. These thugs are ganging on people. Thugs are ganging up on people.
So
with
why
a
do you call
baseball
them?
bat.
Why do you call them my best friends? I don't know anything about them doing that.
Because y'all was not, yes, you do. See, that's
No, I
the
don't.
line right there. Okay.
Nope. I bet you. Hold on, Tony. Tony.
Yeah,
I bet you-
thought you stopped it.
I bet you not one Proud Boy that I know was up there doing that.
Well, there
So
was
then,
the organization. there's so many-
and Tony,
okay,
you're
go ahead.
You're probably lying about the situation. Most likely, you're lying about the situation. Proud
the
Boys
hate-
don't generally
the
do that.
hate organizations are growing so fast in this country.
What,
It's
like
part
Black
of all
Lives Matter and
parties.
Antifa and the Democrat Party?
It's just like they're probably like the KKK. That's an extension of the KKK.
What's the KKK?
you
What
go
do
around beating
you care about the KKK, Tony?
I said the Proud Boys.
No, hey, Tony, Tony.
All of them is nothing but KKKs, bro.
Okay, bro, but what do you know or care about the KKK? Have you ever met a KKK?
Yes, I have, sir.
Where?
Yes,
Where?
I have.
Where?
In Virginia.
And when? When was this?
Back in, say, what, 72, 74?
1972, 74. And what did this KKK person do to you?
Oh, he was trying to make people get off the sidewalk so they can walk past, but we weren't having that. No,
So then what are you
this sidewalk is public.
fear-mongering for? Somebody in 1972 was trying to make
Well,
blacks
they
get off the
still
sidewalk,
exist.
and
They
you're
still
scared of
exist.
that? You're scared of that?
They still exist.
And that doesn't. No, Tony,
I
Tony,
feel nothing, bro.
Tony. That has nothing to do with what the Proud Boys are about. They're about
Well,
Western.
What they about?
They're about.
beating people with a baseball
No,
bat?
They're
Yes.
about.
Well, that's what
No,
they got arrested
Tony,
for.
Tony,
They caught some felonies yesterday.
Tony. They're about civilization. If they were beating somebody up unprovoked, then they were out of line, and they're
Well,
rightly going to jail. But I don't
you can
believe
call-
that you're giving me the whole story, because
you can look it up, my
you're not a
friend. It's in the
fair-minded
news.
person, Tony.
It's
Tony.
in the news.
Hey,
You
Tony.
can call whatever you want to call me because that's what y'all do.
And speaking
but
of
you hate
hate
the
groups, the Democrat Party is the worst hate group ever.
Okay, well, hey,
Are you a Democrat?
I'm a human being. Keep saying I'm a human being.
No, you're hate mongering against innocent
Hey,
Proud Boys,
I like to do, I
most
go
of whom
what's
are
right.
innocent. Vast majority of Proud Boys are innocent, decent people, unlike you and the Democrats.
Okay, that's your opinion, sir.
It's a
Everybody
fact.
got one.
It's a
But the
fact,
thing is
Tony.
this, also look up.
And
Donald
what do you,
Trump
Tony?
from
Tony,
Ohio,
hey Tony,
Toledo, Ohio.
Tony. What do you think about Black Lives Matter and Antifa beating people up and
I don't
smearing
know nothing
whites
about
falsely?
Antifa. I don't know nothing about no Antifa. And Black
Oh,
Lives
how
Matter is
convenient. I thought you were concerned about hate groups.
I don't know nothing about them. I don't
Yeah,
know
very
nothing about them.
convenient. That's because you're part of them.
I know about Black Lives Matter.
Because you're a
I do
useful
know about
idiot.
them. So,
You know,
But the
you
thing
know that
is-
Black Lives Matter is evil?
well, that, in your eyes, then.
No,
anything
you know that
goes
they're
against
evil?
You, it will be. Anything goes against your thoughts and your ways and your acts and your beliefs is evil. That's all y'all preach.
No, that's because you look the other way at your own hatred, and you
Well, the thing is,
pretend that it's me. You pretend
do
that
you
it's
love
me
me?
and my best friends,
do
the
you
Proud
love me?
Boys.
Do you love me?
Yeah.
It hurts to hard to say that.
Huh?
I said, that hurts you to your heart to say that.
You don't know me.
Oh, yes, I do, my friend. Yes, I do. But the one thing I want you and your audience to look up is John Crawford from Toledo, Ohio, in Walmart, picking up a BB gun for his son.
How many
And
years
his
ago
wife
was
and
this?
daughter.
How many years ago was this?
2 years ago. 2 years.
At least 2 years ago.
Yeah, but the police.
And you're
came
not
in
giving
there
the whole
and
story
lit
with
him
that either.
And lit him up.
Uh-uh.
Lit him up.
Yeah.
In Walmart.
I know. I heard about it. I heard about it.
BB gun. For picking up a BB gun to purchase.
No. It wasn't for picking it up. It was for other things. People were scared.
No.
It was people were scared.
Called the police, said that a black man in Walmart was carrying a gun.
And you know why, Tony? Hey, Tony.
It's an open carry state. It's an open
Hey, Tony.
carry state.
Tony. Do you know why
Yeah.
why would people be concerned about a black man carrying a rifle?
Because it's an open carry state.
No,
So
I said
a
why would
black man
people
can't have a gun.
Hold on, Tony.
A black
Tony.
man can't have a gun. That's
Tony.
all it is in America.
Tony, why would
What?
people be concerned about a black man carrying a
I just
weapon?
told you. I just told
No,
you.
you
A
didn't
black
tell
man
me
can't
why.
have a gun in
You didn't
America.
tell me why because you can't answer the question honestly.
I just answered your question.
Who is committing?
You
Hold
see a
on,
black
Tony.
man with a
Tony.
gun, the first thing you'll do, call police.
Tony.
Well,
Blacks are committing.
tell me
Hold
that.
on, Tony.
Tell me that.
Blacks are committing disproportionate violent crime. So
Hey, sir. Man, get out of here with that bull crap.
it's the truth.
Yeah, in your eyes, again.
In reality.
Who
You don't really care about black people.
What black man you know do go around? What black person you know go around killing kids in school? None. What
I don't
black
know.
person you know go
I don't
to
know.
Las Vegas and shoot up 500 people? None. So come on,
I
man,
don't know about that.
With me with that.
I don't know about that.
With me with that. What person you know go around and shoot people just to be killing them? White folks. Come on, man.
I don't know about that, Tony. I don't know about
Hey,
that.
You do know about it. You don't want to report it. You don't want to talk about it because they're going to go against your agenda.
No, you're the one who doesn't want to accept black violent crime because it goes against
It's crime,
the dumb Democrat
it's crime
Party.
In every group. It's crime in every group. Even the Indians.
I didn't say there wasn't. I didn't say there wasn't. You're the one who's denying that blacks commit disproportionate violent crime. You had to change the subject.
Let me ask you this: Who be catching more babies in the Catholic Church? Why you don't report that? You
Huh?
always say nothing about that. Sex crimes against children. You don't say nothing about that.
I'm not that interested. It's too gross.
I know because it's all white folks doing it. That's why.
No, that's not true. Tony, that's a lie.
Oh, you want to do it? Yes, it is. That's
No,
what
it's not.
all you-
It's a
all
lie.
you report is
Tony.
hate against black. It's that all you want to do is divide.
No, because you're hating white people.
Love your neighbor as you love yourself. I never heard y'all say love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Yes,
Never.
yes, you did.
Never.
Jesse Lee
All
Peterson
he
says
said
that all the
is-
time, Tony.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he does.
Never said love your neighbor as you love.
Yes, he
never
does.
said love your neighbor as
Yes,
you
he
love
does.
yourself. All he said is suffer and die. Suffer and die.
And that's
Oh,
good
man, for
advice.
real.
Tony,
But
calm down, Tony. I'm going to put you on hold if you don't be quiet. Tony! Calm down, man. So,
No, I just want to hear the truth, man.
quiet. The truth, man, is that Jesse Lee Peterson, I put it on hold. Jesse Lee Peterson tells you to love God and then love your neighbor as yourself. He says it all the time. What a liar. This man's a liar. And he says, get over anger. Stop hating. That's love your neighbor as yourself. Duh, Tony. What a dishonest person you are.
Okay, if you say so. Sir.
And speaking of sex crimes, blacks and Hispanics commit disproportionate sex crimes to whites. They
Yeah,
commit
okay,
more sex
everybody-
crimes per capita against children,
Everybody
against
do more than
children
everything
too.
that white folks-
Tony,
Okay,
against
yeah,
children
yes.
than whites.
Okay, if you say so.
It's
If you say
reality.
so.
It's reality.
I guess we kill our family members for the inheritance too, right? Like white folks.
You
do.
don't have any heritage. All right.
See,
Thank you, Tony.
Have a good day.
You too. Man, what a mess. Let's see. Robot Moose says, "Oh, oh, oh," and he goes, "James, James, James, shut up." John WX15 gave a diamond and says, "Earl and Tony make me want to rethink banning such and such crime against humanity." No, abortion is wrong. Abortion is wrong. Abortion is part of what the problem, dude. Because people say, "Oh, but think of all the criminals that we're aborting." Can you believe that some people think that? Meanwhile, you're creating criminals in the women, and they're raising children in a heartless state of mind, evil state. More of you can call in 888-775-3773. I will be getting to your calls, but we're getting towards the end of the hour. I want to point out actual crime going on in the country. You know, Trump talked about pulling federal funding from New York, Seattle, Portland, and D.C., far left cities that are being overrun with crime and violence and terror attacks that the DHS doesn't want to point out. And then Governor Cuomo acting like, "Oh, Trump, you're going to need an army to set foot in New York City. Nobody likes you," which is a lie. Rochester, riots have been happening for 7 days in a row over the druggie, who dove headfirst, according to Wikipedia, down a flight of stairs, running around naked. His own brother calls the cops on him. Trump tweeted about the police chief who resigned. Most of the police in Rochester, New York have resigned, he says. The Democrat mayor and Governor Cuomo, of course, have no idea what to do. New York State is a mess, no money. Businesses, 60-something% of businesses or at least restaurants are at risk of closing down forever. High taxes, high crime, people fleeing from these northern cities to Florida. Florida, you better stand up for what's right. And Trump's his hands are kind of tied because these are local issues, honestly. What a shame. By the way, let me just read this headline to you. Stanford University, I have a couple of headlines for you from this. Stanford University offered a course about racial terror, saying that it's impossible to get away from white supremacy. And it was two people who are teaching this course. And one of them is a reverend. So you know how I was telling you guys about the DHS referencing these college people? Well, the so-called Christians, this is from Campus Reform, by the way. So-called Christians are in these college campuses are no Christians at all. Stanford University is up in like NorCal, I believe. I've been there a few times. Reverend Lynce, Lync Pinkard, and Nicola Torbett. Let me just see what these people look like. Spoke every Monday in August at an event that they called Sitting with the Trouble, Spiritual Tools for Ending Racial Terror, that was organized by the university's Office of Religious Life. Stanford University, was it ever a Christian university? Was it like Jesuit or something like that? I don't know. 4-week event, August 3rd through August 24th. White supremacy so permeates our institutions, policies, practices, and ways of knowing that it is nearly impossible to think of outside of it, the event description reads. The prosaic solutions of governing bodies do virtually nothing, often less than nothing, to mitigate the everyday ongoing devastation. Pinkard is black, a black writer and teacher, and he's a reverend, so-called reverend, who focuses on decolonizing the human spirit, which is an anti-white dog whistle. That also showed up in the movie Black Panther, by the way. And he's dedicated to inspiring a new generation of spirit-filled servant leaders. Isn't that Christianese, right? Dedicated to the remediation of day-to-day suffering. Torbett, who is white, is a spiritual leader and racial podcaster. I don't know if he or she is a normal white. Nicola Torbett. Let me see here. Just to take a peek around. Nichola Torbett. Looks like a short-haired feminist lady, maybe. Or just a skinny dude, but I think it's a lady. Director of seminary on the street over in someplace. And helping other white people recognize their own, and the capitalized white, because they're dumb, recognize their own trauma and discontent as catalysts for the dismantling the systems of oppression that are killing us all, and killing black and brown people first. Capitalize B in black, capitalize B in brown. President College Republicans President Stephen Sills of Stanford University accused the Office of Religious Life of being eager to stab religious Stanford students in the back by hosting that event. It's an anti-Christian event, but it's pretending to be Christian. Abortion activist Loretta Ross, creator of Reproductive Justice term, was hosted by the Office of Religious Life, according to what this guy, the president of the college Republicans over there, said. They hosted them too. Stanford Christian community were not consulted. What a disgrace. I'm going to get back to the calls. Hang tight, guys. I want to take a quick break. I also got to share with you, I got an email from a former listener who's like this Bible pusher guy, and I'm going to address that and give a little bit of Bible verses that I found interesting that I looked up after reading this man's email. I think it's a man, this person's email. But hang tight, guys. I'll be right back for the rest of hour 2 with the Hake Report. What's up, everybody? I am back. This is the Hake Report. You can call in 888-775-3773. I have some things I'd like to cover. If I have time, and I don't know if I will have time, I'll touch on what President Trump said about getting rid of this lame 1619 project. And I heard that the 1619 project is an anti-white, anti-American propaganda, fake history pushed by the New York Slimes, the failing New York Slimes, and a Ronald McDonald-looking black lady. Just a joke of a person, just a joke of an institution that's failing New York Slimes. That they've pushed that, America was founded on slavery and genocide back in 1619, not when they got their independence from Great Britain in 1776. Just anti-truth commies. And Trump wants to defund California. If California is trying to put this into their education, the states and even the Department of Education at the federal level has been putting in, like, teaching homosexual great history makers and stuff like that to kids. Just nasty, filthy propaganda. And further keeping people further and further away from common sense, reality, God, teaching people about racism. You've heard in these, I don't know if it's campus reform or these other student journalist, activist, relatively conservative people who interview people on the street. Young women, female teachers, far left liberal teachers, including some whites, or maybe they're Jewish, or maybe they're Hispanic, per capita, most of non-normal white Christians are more liberal. But even, the women are, of all races, tend to be a little bit more liberal, or maybe a lot more liberal, and blind brainwashed and off the deep end than the men of all races. Teaching kids about racism as if it's a real thing. So phony. And Trump is going to also, I heard, prevent racial sensitivity training in federal departments. That's an uphill battle to root that out, because it's a swarm, it's overrun with people who, for some reason, believe in that stuff. I don't even know any normal people who believe in sensitivity training that I know of. But, and I know a lot of liberals. I think that even if I were to sit them down and ask them, do you believe in this sensitivity training crap? I don't know. Are they that off the deep end? Maybe so. But President Trump wants to take us in the right direction. I appreciate that. But anyway, first let me get to Dani, first-time caller out of Virginia. And I do want to cover this email from a listener and Bible passage. Dani, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you, James?
Doing fine. Good to hear from you.
Good. Good to hear from you. I'm a big fan.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. I appreciate you. Anyway, I know that you guys have been talking a lot, or everybody's been talking a lot about white supremacy, and white supremacy is the biggest danger that there is to the country, and
right.
that and the other, right? So if you ask me, from a person that walks on the street, listens to media, reads books, it's the Democratic Party, and I don't know why, but they want people to hate each other. They want everybody separate. They want everybody divided. They want everybody turned against each other.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. And I'm a lesbian, and I deal with liberals all the time. And there's so much anger and rage, and it's like everything in the media, everything that people see nowadays is turned, it's inverted.
Yeah.
From what I feel. Everything is turned upside down. And what is evil is good, and what is good is evil. But, James, I'm here to tell you that in the 50 years I've been, almost 50 years, on this planet, I'm telling you that the media has turned people against each other. And I'm specifically talking about men and women and black and white.
Yeah.
I mean, what angers me when I'm talking about white supremacists or whatever, I mean, these people they're indoctrinated. They maybe feel that they are better than you.
Right.
Just based upon a lie.
I think that it's because the angry people are getting kissed up to. You know, when somebody's the squeaky.
They're babies. They're
Yeah.
toddlers, man.
Right.
They never move above a certain. It's like they stop growing at a toddler mentality and have never moved past it.
You've heard the term "the squeaky wheel gets the grease."
Of course.
And you know that.
Of course,
you know
James, I know, but people are dying because of this.
I know. It's because
the people, children. I'm talking about black children are being poisoned into this.
Right.
Killed.
Yeah.
Encouraged to walk right out the door and combat the police because, why?
I think it's
Why?
because a lack of men who are willing to not give the squeaky wheel the grease and kiss up to the angry people, and then oppress the innocent, the people who are trying to enforce justice, actual justice, the law enforcement, the real authorities like Trump.
What is crime? What is justice? Crime to me is when you attack another human being.
Right.
That is a crime to me.
Yeah. And it's also,
attack.
honestly, it's also a crime to promote these lies that hurt the spirits of these people.
That's what Jesse means when he says that this is worse than the KKK because it's killing the spirit of a young, growing up black boy that's poor or girl or whatever.
Right.
And just taught from cradle to grave.
Yep.
That somebody looks down on them and nobody does.
Yeah, honestly,
You get what I'm saying?
I totally do. Black Lives Matter is the tip of the iceberg. The hate group is not just Black Lives Matter. The hate group is the NAACP, the Congressional Black Caucus, the mainstream.
I don't know.
Most of the mainstream media, the institutions, academia.
They have all of the power. They keep telling black people, black kids, impressionable minds, you don't have power.
Yeah.
Number one, you're telling them that they don't have any agency, that they don't have any control over their lives. And now they're saying, you don't have any power. So only white people can be racist.
Yeah.
Not you, but only white people, because white people have the power. And I'm going, wait a minute. I don't think that's, every time I hear it, it makes me sick in my stomach.
It's like that.
It makes me nauseous.
Dani, I think
They're
it's that.
playing with people. I'm sorry.
It's that female-minded feeling sorry for people and encouraging they're miserable people. They're angry, miserable people, and they want to spread their misery and divide and conquer, and they get power out of that. They get an ego trip out of it too.
They do, and that's exactly what I'm talking about when I say that, I'm in the liberal world.
Right.
But, I think conservatively, everything that, I don't want to say everything. I don't know. I don't know who I am or whatever, but I know what is good and I know what is bad.
Yeah.
But then again, is that knowing, what do you call it? Knowledge of good and evil.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah,
It is
isn't it?
it is if you are still evil.
Well, I'm probably still
Because
evil.
you have to we all have to repent ourselves, because
I believe that.
we can be sitting on the couch criticizing the moves that Trump makes, and meanwhile our own lives are going to mess. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not criticizing. Well, I don't.
Well, I know that you may not be,
I
but
get what you're saying.
but I'm just saying we can even
Right.
criticize the actual evil people, and
Wouldn't that be nice?
but we can, but then we have to be an example ourselves. Otherwise, there's no light coming in.
No, I believe you. I
Because
try to
look
be right.
look at me.
I'm angry, James. I'm angry. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Right.
angry. I want to lash out. I want to hurt somebody. I want to. I take that back. I'm saying that it's like
You want to make other people
I
mad
have
too?
anger too. What's
Yeah.
that?
You want to make other
I
people
don't-
mad in retaliation?
In retaliation? Yes.
Yeah, I mean I think everybody can relate to that, or has been in that state of
but
mind.
I don't succumb to it. Does
Right,
that
but we
make
have to overcome it completely.
Correct.
Yeah.
I swear, James. I don't know that that's possible, man. Not for a woman.
I think it's possible. I don't know.
We'll see. I guess we'll see.
Keep at it.
But
You doing
anyway,
the silent prayer that Jesse recommends?
You know, actually, James, I've tried ever since I started listening to him 3 years ago, and I cannot do it.
What do you mean by you
can't.
cannot?
I cannot sit still.
Oh,
I
okay.
can't. And be quiet. And
Well-
I've thought about calling Jesse about it, but I don't know. It's like something just pulls at me and tells me to move. Or
Yeah.
something happens. Someone knocks at the door. I don't know. It's crazy.
I'm going to read a verse that's pretty interesting.
Please do.
Interesting. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll bring it up now.
Go ahead.
So I got this email from this listener who stopped listening because Jesse Lee Peterson says that Jesus is not God; he's the Son of God. And there
Right.
are a lot of Christians who are like, that's a deal breaker. They think that you have to believe that Jesus is God. They think that you're denying that Jesus is the Christ, is the Son of God,
Okay.
if you deny that he's God himself, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he cites all these verses and encourages me to go look as if I don't already know the verses, where he says, like Jesus at one point says, before Abraham was, I am. And that's what God said about himself to Moses. And so I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I'm familiar with that
What?
verse. I don't know what it means, but I look at,
James on a Bible. James know the Bible.
right. I look at Jesse Lee Peterson's life, and he's living it. And I don't I don't pretend to know what every verse means, but there are a lot of Christians who accuse Jesse Lee Peterson of picking and choosing what verses he wants to believe. That's not the case. They're the ones who are picking and choosing, because he asked them about
Correct.
sin.
And also,
Yeah, go
I'm
for
sorry,
it.
Go ahead.
Well,
Oh, I was just
they
gonna
ask about
say-
sin, and they ask about
Uh-huh.
anger, and there are verses that say get rid of all anger, and they get rid of all
Yeah.
strife and all that stuff. And it says
Stop
any
it.
man who's born again does not sin. He cannot sin. But they ignore that and say, oh, you have to read it in context. And they cite other stuff that seem to imply
I
people
know.
continue to do wrong. And so
I
they're the ones picking and
know,
choosing,
and I
not
don't
Jesse.
Get it. I know. Jesse is very specific.
Right.
He has a very specific thing that he's trying to drum home to people,
Right.
and that's sad.
But that's why
Don't sit here and I'm sorry. Go ahead. James.
That's why I criticize the intellectuals. And intellectualism is bad because we can know the truth, but if we don't live it, it's useless. We can know factual information.
I don't think that. Okay.
But it's worthless to just sit and criticize Black Lives Matter when we're not living right ourselves. It's good to criticize them, but we also have
James, I
to.
do feel like I'm living right.
Okay. I do
every day.
So this is my.
I mean,
I found this.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I found this passage, Matthew 22, because I was looking it up.
Yeah.
Where, the phrase "the Lord said to my Lord" came up, and that was from Psalm 99 or 100 or something like that. And Jesus quotes it in the Bible, in the book of Matthew, chapter 22. And he talks about, but before he gets to that section, this reminded me of what you were talking about with prayer and all that stuff, because a lot of people can relate to what you said. I don't know if they think that they can't pray, but they get distracted very easily. So Jesus says, the kingdom of heaven is like a certain king who made a marriage for his son, set up a marriage for his son, and sent his servants to invite a bunch of people to go to the wedding. But they wouldn't come. They made light of it. They went their own way. One went to his farm, another to his merchandise. Interesting, huh? And then others.
Was this to the wedding where he turned water to wine?
No, it's just a parable. It's just a parable where a king invited people to a wedding, but they wouldn't come. The people who were invited wouldn't come. One was,
James,
they're too busy.
I do come. This is a family show, but what I'm saying is I do. I do. I sit down.
Lesbians.
I try. I really, really do.
All right. Well, keep at it. Keep at it, and don't be disheartened then. And then there were others. And these are the people that we criticize, who treated them spitefully and slew them, meaning killed the servants who had come and to invite people to the wedding. And that's a crazy situation. So there's the contrast between the two types of evil people: the vicious anti-Christian ones who are so obvious, Black Lives Matter, Democrats, mainstream media.
Right.
Those are obvious anti-Christians.
Vicious people.
Yeah. But then there's also the ones who are just.
You know what they do, James? How in the world do they point to someone else and say that's someone else doing it?
I know. But
anyway, go ahead.
There's also the ones who are just too busy. Or they get distracted very easily. And those are every bit as they're every bit as missing out on the wedding, right? So
I believe you.
I
do. I believe.
So the king
just don't know how to stop it.
He burned up those murderers, burned up their city, destroyed the murderers. And then he invited everybody, both the worthy and the unworthy. And then so people came, and then there was a guy who was not wearing, I guess they're supposed to wear wedding clothes, right? Wedding garment. One guy didn't have it.
What is that?
I don't know.
Oh, Lord.
It's the old days, right? It's the old days. They wear wedding clothes. He wasn't. This one guy wasn't wearing it, and the king said, "How come you came here without a wedding garment?" And he was speechless. And then he threw out the guy. So you better be serious.
Come here.
He said, "This is like harsh." He said to the kings, "Bind him." Hold on. He said to the servants, "Bind him hand and foot and take him away and cast him into outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen."
What?
Dang. It's like serious.
It is serious.
So you can't just you can't just feel good about comparing yourself to others who are just off the deep end evil. We have to become perfect.
God, I swear. If there's anything that I strive for, James, it's that.
Right on.
And I want everyone else to be perfect. And I guess that's the woman in me.
Yeah.
Or the, controller. But it's like, I don't know what y'all are doing, man.
I know.
Why are y'all listening to this?
But you ask why people accuse others of doing what they do?
What's that?
You asked why the evil people accuse the innocent people of doing what the evil people are doing. Like, they're accusing Trump of disrespecting the military when it's them. They accuse the white people of hate when they're the ones hating whites and everybody else.
Exactly. It's like
I don't know. I don't know if there's like a biblical.
What is it?
I'm not sure if there's a biblical thing to it, but it is. That's what the communists do. They say accuse others of being what you are.
I mean, I swear that's what they do.
So that did you
swear
understand
my
did you
life, it is
understand the
so
wedding thing?
blatant.
Did you understand the wedding thing?
I hope I do. I'm gonna.
I was
listen
talking
in.
about the reason I brought it up is because I came across
Go
and
ahead.
it seemed good. But you talked about prayer.
I wanted to hear it.
You talked about prayer, how you say you can't
Try.
pray. Well, it reminds me
Well-
of these people that were invited to this wedding, but they went on their ways, one to his farm, another to his merchandise.
So what are you saying? I go.
I'm
to
saying
my,
like
I
you're
go somewhere
worried
else.
about other things.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would. I mean, absolutely.
And I think that that's
And
the way a lot of people are.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I wonder. It's like, am I just totally defective, or do most people feel this way?
I don't know. Keep at it. But you should call Jesse Lee
I
Peterson
will.
for private counseling if you want.
Counseling.
If you,
Yeah.
It's quite affordable. I recommend it in half hour or full hour, by phone or
Okay.
Skype or in person, however you wish.
I appreciate that. And I just want to tell Rick and Earl, nobody hates you.
Oh, people hate him.
Everybody
Somebody said
loves you.
somebody wants
Stop
to bring
being
back
so
abortion.
damn mad. What's that?
Some
sorry,
some of these
what'd you
people
say?
hate them because they want to bring back abortion over it. Well, bring back
Bring
as if it's
back
gone.
abortion.
Well, somebody says,
Yeah.
I want to rethink banning abortion because of people like Earl and Tony. So I think that person hates Earl and Tony.
Maybe.
Anyway, Dani, good to hear from you.
Hey, man, thanks so much for talking with me. I really do appreciate it.
Appreciate
Thanks
the call.
for what you guys are doing.
All right.
All
Take
right.
care.
Hey, Joelle. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Let me get to Skip in Augusta, Georgia, and then I'll read like the rest of these verses. Did you guys follow it? I saw one person didn't really understand it over on Periscope. I mean, not Periscope, but Twitch. So hopefully I explained it a little bit. Skip out of Augusta. Thank you for holding, Skip. What's up?
Hey, James, how you doing, man?
Doing fine. How are you?
Oh, I guess I'm not fair to middling. Look here. Let me ask you something. Do you know what the definition of a civil war is?
I think so. It sounds like a trick question, but I think I do. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not a trick question. It says it's a war between citizens who live in the same country.
Okay.
Are we not having a civil war right now? Are we not in civil war?
Yeah, we kind of are. It's not completely declared, right? It's not official, right? There's no Confederate States of America that's trying to secede, and then the Union, the North is trying to say, you can't succeed. We're gonna fight you and kill you guys until you stay in the Union. So it's not official, but yeah, in a sense, it's definitely a spiritual war, and that's been going on forever. But it's, half the country, it seems, is for the side of evil, just openly for the side of evil. And then I would say majority of the country, maybe 99%, is for the side of evil just by not being right ourselves, right? But yeah, it's sort of a civil war in a sense. It's crazy that Antifa themselves and Black Lives Matter are carrying guns and murdering. They murdered one guy, apparently, according to video and reports over in Portland. And they tried to kill Kyle Rittenhouse. Thank God that he defended himself successfully against that guy. So yeah, in a sense, it is a civil war. We're very divided.
Like to call it,
what do you say?
the media calls it a civil unrest.
Oh yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean,
But it's actually.
Go ahead.
It's actually a civil war. It's actually a civil war. You got people out there fighting on the streets now.
Yeah. It's just that they don't have their guns on them, most of them.
Well, you got some of them that do.
Right.
And you got some of them knocking in the head with a darn skateboard. You got.
Right.
I mean, you just got foolishness. It's just craziness out there. Nobody wants to admit and face the truth that we are in a war. We're in a war amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
and it is a spiritual battle. I know that.
Yep.
And but looking at it, look what's going on in Portland. How many days has that been going on like this in Portland, Oregon now?
Over 100 days in Portland. Riots after riots after riots, and attacks on police. Yep.
And look at this.
And they want to kill police.
Camilla.
Many of them. Some of them I've heard have tried to set buildings on fire and lock the police inside. It's disgusting.
And
I don't know.
Camilla Harris is going.
Yeah.
Is going to Wisconsin, and she's praising that boy's family, the one that got shot. Cause reaching for the knife or had a knife on him or whatever.
Oh yeah. Yep. Jacob Blake.
Praising his family as good people. Oh, they good people.
There's one lady in that so-called family. I don't think that the family's really together. So you can't really call it a family, right? They're relatives. But it sounded like his mother has some decency to her. She has said, we should respect the president, I think she said. And I heard that she was on Don Lemon's show a couple nights back. Somebody said it to me, emailed me or something. Don Lemon's show alongside Benjamin Crump, which I don't know what she has anything to do with Benjamin Crump. Is she involved with it, or is it just the father who's involved with Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton and the rest of the disgusting people? The father of Jacob Blake is a awful person. It's sounding like hates whites. I read to you like one of the comments. He's a Jew hater too, but he's not a loving person. He's not in reality. He has no love for white people. The mother, it sounds like, would have taken, she missed Trump's call, it sounded like, and she apologized to the president. And it sounds like she wants to be right and forgive. I don't know what she has to forgive the cop for, but she said that she would forgive the cop. I don't know if the cop needs to be forgiven. I don't know if he did wrong necessarily. If the man was armed and resisting arrest and a taser didn't work, what else does the cop have left but to shoot, especially when he has a knife allegedly in his hands? I don't know if he did it or not, but it sounded like he was armed.
She's going to forgive the cop for doing his job.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't like that, but it sounded like she's at least a little bit more decent than these other nasty, filthy Don Lemon, Benjamin Crump, Jacob Blake's father. And Jacob Blake himself did a preaching thing where he should be quiet and apologize for being an evil person and then call on everybody else to apologize for protesting when he got himself in that situation,
Yeah, well.
Kamala Harris is evil. That just shows you that Kamala Harris is an evil woman. She knows better. She knows better, but she doesn't do better because she's a liar.
They forget about the reason why that boy was over there to begin with. He was over there assaulting his girlfriend, an old lady, or whatever she was. And they forget about the charges that he's had against him already.
I don't know about him assaulting the women in that situation, but I know that he did have charges against him. I know that those women, like there were 6 or 7 women, according to the witness, yelling at each other, and he pulled up. So they were claiming that he was breaking up a fight. I don't know. Some of those women those black women, they were yelling and shouting, and they were not peaceful people themselves. So he may not be completely guilty in that part of the situation, but once he started resisting arrest, that's a criminal right there.
Well, let me ask you something, Hake, getting off the subject for a minute.
All right.
How are you feeling about the flat earth versus the globe earth now?
I am no more interested today than I was before. I'm not interested in it. How about you?
Well, I'm a flat earther. You know that.
Right.
The earth is flat. We have never been to the moon, and chemtrails are real.
Chemtrails are them putting out chemicals in the air that we breathe to make us subdued or something like that? Or what?
Right. They're releasing toxins in the air. They're releasing aluminum in the air. They're releasing a lot of stuff in the air that don't need to be in the air.
You know, it's
And I got more.
that part is kind of believable because look at what they did. Didn't they give us they said that we should be eating more bread than anything? The food pyramid. They said that we should be eating more bread than anything, and now they're saying you should avoid carbs. They can't make up their minds. And the government
Well, I
does
guess
lie about white supremacy being the main problem. So it wouldn't be the first time the government doesn't look out for the people.
I guess Dr. Fucci or whatever his name is, Fucci, whatever, he'll have to come
Fauci, I
out.
think.
He'll have to come out and decide about the carbs and the eating more bread or not eating more bread.
Yeah.
Because he is so he's so believable, isn't he? Hey.
But why not just, even though I'm not really interested in discussing it much, but why not just leave it as an I don't know in terms of the flat earth, globe earth, moon landing, all that stuff? Because it's impossible to prove, seems like. So why believe something that you haven't seen proof of?
Well, I just like the truth, and I don't know why we're being lied to. Do you know who spends more money and buys more helium than anybody else in the world?
I don't know.
NASA.
NASA?
It's not for no rockets either. Yeah, NASA. That's a
funny.
fact. You can look it up.
All right.
Google it or who's that news source that you use all the time? Drudge or whatever.
Revolver or Drudge or yeah.
They might have something on it, but yeah. Why in the world are we buying all this helium for that? And is NASA buying all this helium?
I don't know.
We got satellites in the air. What do we need helium for? They're not going into satellites.
I don't know.
Think about it. Just think about it. Oh yeah, and I'll say one more thing.
Yeah.
I want to thank Samuel for doing the chicken bone story. You missed out on
I was
it.
going to ask you what you thought of it. So it sounds like he came across some social media posts and a news article or something, or a blog post from 2017 or something, of this chicken bone problem where they leave dirty, nasty chicken bones in the street and everywhere. And it's an ongoing issue, but the mainstream media doesn't cover it.
Nobody wants to talk. Nobody talks about it. I don't know why they don't want to talk about it. They the chicken bones. They even going around in the grocery stores and putting them on shelves in the grocery stores. Did you see that picture of that one that
no
Samuel posted?
I wasn't watching. I was listening to his show.
And
so they're just they're eating their food, and then they litter the chicken bones any old place.
Yeah, they just throw them on the ground.
Yeah.
They throw the chicken bones down. Kids can't even go on the playground, they say, because there's so many chicken bones on the playground.
You know, I'm not surprised that because that's what uncivilized people do. Is that too much of a? It's what even uncivilized people do. Am I not right? It's uncivilized of them to do that.
Well,
rather than find a trash can.
When I was able to work, I was getting out there and working. Sometimes we'd get a chicken box for lunch or something. But whenever we got through with eating our chicken, we put the bones in a box and put them in the trash can. That's
right.
just common sense.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But for a whole city to be overrun with chicken bones, big enough that there were some stories done on it, that's a lot of doggone chicken bones.
So Nick was like, "Wait, this is real?" And so
yes, it's real.
he found 2 Instagram accounts documenting this, dedicated. One is at Wings of ATL. ATL is short for Atlanta, right? And the other one is at Random Wings of ATL, or Random Wings ATL. At Random Wings ATL is one, and the other one is at Wings of ATL. And the at sign is, of course, for the boomers, that's the at sign, the A with the circle around it. That's the Instagram handle for these accounts that are documenting this stuff. And are they current? What's their latest post, Nick? And how long have they been around? I'm just wondering. Skip, I appreciate 27 minutes ago.
Look here, I didn't mean to stay on that long.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the most recent Instagram post of chicken bone in Atlanta, Georgia.
Was 27 minutes ago?
Yeah. And how long
They're getting worse and
did they
worse.
start? How long ago did they start their account? I mean, there was supposedly a blog post. I don't know. If you scroll, look at an older post or something. I don't know. Sometimes they say
People throwing chicken. There's pictures of pigeons eating leftover meat on the chicken bones, and that's doggone bad when the pigeons eating the chicken meat.
yeah, that is bad. That seems crazy. It's the wrong kind of training. Anyway.
I guess so. Well, look here. I appreciate you taking my call, Hake. You're doing a good job. But look here. There's a couple of people on chat that think I'm being a snake with you because I'm cutting up with you a lot. I jive with you a good bit, like it's, when it gets near 1 o'clock, I say it's getting pee times. You know, you got to take your pee break and stuff like that. But I'm just cutting up with you, Hake.
I appreciate it, Skip. Thank you, man.
All right, man. You have a good day.
You as well. Take care.
All right.
So, oldest post, 2014. And was it a chicken bone? Was it a random chicken bone? Oh, yeah, it was. Crazy, guys. So I'm not showing you any pictures of it. So if you're in the podcast, look it up yourself. I haven't shown any pictures. Or look up Samuel Forsberg's channel on YouTube. He also has a BitChute. I think it's Samuel from Sweden is his BitChute. He's also on Gab. Shout out to Samuel, somebody all the way over in Sweden, after Skip has been begging me to cover this chicken bones story. So I finally figured out that they're littering. They're littering. I guess it should have been obvious. But I want to finish this passage from Matthew 22, talking about Jesus talking with the people, talking about the kingdom of giving, the kingdom of heaven is like a wedding thing. Everybody's invited. Some people blow it off, too busy. Other people kill the people who are inviting them. Wow, it's crazy. And then other people show up, both good and evil, right? And then one of them wasn't even dressed properly for the wedding. And he got thrown out where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. Dang, that's some... Well, I mean, he's a king. He can do that stuff. So this chapter goes on, and there are Pharisees trying to entangle Jesus in his talk. And they send out and buttered him up, talking about, we know you're true, you teach the way of God in truth, and you don't care about any man, for the, not a respecter of persons, right? Kind of like what Jesse's biblical question was about. But those things are true about Jesus, but they were saying it to butter him up. It sounded like to me, right? This is, by the way, where he gives his give unto Caesar line. But before that, it says Jesus perceived their wickedness. And he's like, why you tempt me, you hypocrites, you snakes? He didn't call them snakes there, but he has before. But he also talks about, I like this part, he talks about the resurrection from the dead, because there were Pharisees and there were Sadducees. And the Sadducees were also intellectuals, but they didn't believe that there was resurrection. I guess they're atheists. They're the equivalent of atheists. Well, I don't know. Whatever. But he talks about, have you not read what was spoken unto you by God, saying, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. And the people were astonished. Interesting, huh? It's interesting that they had never thought of that before. One of them, who was a lawyer, I'm reading the King James Version. They call him a lawyer. Interesting. Lawyers asking him a question, tempting him, and saying, what's the greatest commandment? I think later this guy agrees with Jesus, and he talks about who was it, Earl or Tony, pretending like Jesse Lee Peterson doesn't say to love your neighbor. And me too. I basically tell you we're not supposed to be hating. Jesus said, thou shalt love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. That's the first and greatest commandment. And the second is, like it, love your neighbor as yourself. Duh, Tony. You don't love your neighbor as yourself. You're phony. Tony the phony. And he says, on these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. This part is interesting. The Son of God because this is kind of answering the guy who wrote me saying, oh, he's quit listening to Jesse Lee Peterson and to me because he thinks that we follow Jesse and he thinks that Jesse Lee Peterson just follows himself. But Jesus himself implies that he's the Son of God and not God himself. The Pharisees were gathered together. Jesus said to them, what do you guys think about the Christ? Because the Jews are always looking for the Messiah, right? Or they were back then. Whose son is he? The Christ is another word for Messiah, right? Whose son is he? They said, the son of David. But Jesus said to them, how then does David in the Spirit call him Lord? If David is the father of this son of this Christ, then how come David calls him Lord? The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou on my right hand till I make your enemies your footstool. If David called him Lord, how is he his son? Jesus said. Interesting, huh? So he's both like descended from David, but he's also above David because he's the Son of God. No man could answer him a word. Neither does any man from that day ask him any more questions. Interesting. But this other guy who emailed me, he emailed me because he claims that he emailed us before and we never got back to him, which with me, it's quite possible because I miss a lot. But he said, I know he's the Son of God, but he's also God. All right, whatever. If that's your beef and that's a deal breaker for you, have at it. I appreciate the email, though. He was being nice about it. But people get on a strange kick. The Rev Chad Kroger, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, gave a diamond and said, Dark Side sent me, what up, my nibbas? What's up? Good to hear from you. Appreciate the support. King Alpha Nerd gave a couple of super chats, as well as Dora the Explorer. Dora the Explorer says, Earl failed my class months ago, and I'm not sure why he's still trying to practice Spanish. And then she calls him a word that I'm not sure I'm going to repeat because I've heard it before, Monty, where I went to school, and it doesn't sound like a nice word, but it's in Spanish. But Earl, you failed Dora the Explorer's class, according to this super chat. It might not be true. It might not be true. Kind of like how Robert Patillo might not be right in his so-called debunking of that case that some black guy talked about. King Alpha Nerd says, Tony sounds like those guys back in the day talking about UFOs and Bigfoot, conspiracy theory nutcases. After he drives his truck, he goes back to Arkham Asylum, which is the Gotham City asylum, where Joker and all those other weirdos stay. He says, King Alpha Nerd says, let's play Tony's entrance theme song. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Nice song from, who is that group that does that? Fleetwood Mac, with that nutty woman who's a nutcase today. And actually, she might have been like a Satanist type of a person back in the day. Weirdo. But nice voice, Stevie Nicks. But evil person. Trump hater, by the way. Man hater. Dumb liberals. Stop being so angry and looking for stuff to gossip about. I bet his favorite channel is Bravo, says King Alpha Nerd, referring to Tony. Tony, you got to look at yourself. Don't be all worried. Don't be all excited about bashing Proud Boys who allegedly maybe did wrong somewhere. Some people did something, and then they want to blame all the Proud Boys for it. When most of them, they're all about civilization and defending the innocent, defending free speech, and only beating up people who are attacking innocent people. So, right on to the Proud Boys. Way better than Tony Am I right? This is interesting. I got, in the last 10 minutes here, there's crazy stuff going on in the country. Just open hypocrisy. Did you hear that an ACLU staffer, according to Fox News, and that's Fox News, attacked a college, was criticizing a college for accepting Nicholas Sandmann. Nicholas Sandmann being, of course, the smirking white young man from Covington Catholic High School, pro-life young man, pro-Trump young man. He smiled when the nasty liberal American Indian activist, was beating a drum in his face. And then the Indian activist pretended to be a victim in this situation when he was being dumb. Well, this staffer calls it a stain on the school that Nicholas Sandmann had been accepted. An official in Kentucky chastised Transylvania University over the weekend for accepting Nicholas Sandmann as a student. Nicholas Sandmann, he spells it Chnicholas. Sandmann with 2 N's at the end, by the way, guys. Honestly, I don't know if Nicholas needs to be, maybe he should go to college if he knows what he wants to do. But January of 2019, American Indian activists stood in front of him and a bunch of his buddies at the high school, beating his drum, doing an Indian dance and chant and song thing. And he was just smiling, and everybody called him racist, and he won some court judgments or court settlements against mainstream media organizations, including, I think, Washington Post and maybe CNN. I don't know. So, and this person said, does anybody else think it is a bit of a stain on Transylvania University for accepting Nick Sandmann? I'm sure it's a both sides defense, but it's pretty counter to their mission, and another instance here of not actually being equal sides on an issue. ACLU's Samuel Crankshaw said in a Facebook post, according to National Review, which is a rhino outlet, National Review. Interesting. Lame. He took down this Facebook post, apparently. But Sandmann brought defamation suits against these mainstream outlets. And ACLU is supposed to be about what's right, but they're not. They're pretending to be. Sandman. He calls it Sandman? Yeah. Oh, okay. I was calling it Sandman. Sandman. Interesting young man. I mean, that just shows you that the ACLU, a bunch of dumb liberals who hate the president and hate America and hate freedom and hate equal rights or whatever, equality that they pretend to be about. Communists. Speaking of colleges, you know how there are there's this COVID scare going around, right? COVID scare. They're shutting stuff down, shutting down restaurants. Cuomo doesn't even want New York City to open up its restaurants again. They're saying, oh, in college campuses, there's thousands of students. There's over 1,000 or several hundred students at any given college who has COVID cases. But I've heard that there have been 0 hospitalizations. Interesting, because young people aren't as susceptible to this mess. Do I have that picture of that surfer who was hauled off in handcuffs? I might not have put it in there. Let me see if I can give it to Joelle. Ridiculous photograph of these people that are just oppressing freedom. Surfing is probably one of the best things you can do to get over COVID, right? Maybe not because of the cold water. But if you're getting over it, it's a great thing to do. This was a Dredge headline. The surfer was hauled off for COVID, for hitting the beach while infected with COVID. And she's wearing, it looks like she's wearing handcuffs. We're opening the treasure chest, guys. Looks like she's opening. Is this I hope that's not in America. I just saw the picture and had to show it to you guys. But that's part of the delusion. These people are just sick. Oh, John WX15. Is it John Wicks 15? He said, just kidding about abortion. They're useful idiots, referring to Earl and Tony. He doesn't really want abortion. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you for cleaning it up. People do joke about that stuff, but some people are kind of serious. They're for abortion because they think that that's going to reduce crime when it expands it, because it increases the moral depravity of the people. Opening up the treasure chest, guys. Thank you to Robot Moose for the support. Thank you to how do you say your name? Childeherald or Kildeherald? Childeherald? I don't know how to pronounce your name, man. It's spelled child with an E, Herald, all one word. Childeherald or Kildeherald. Thank you. Appreciate the support. Thank you to Ev Jenny Crosby 2020. And John WX15, Hydro PX, the Reverend Chad Kroger, Beard the Butcher. What's up, man? I'll get back with you soon. I'm thinking maybe next week or in the next few weeks. Noah's Ark, Kansas, Pablo DR, and Steve 43. Congratulations to the people. King Alpha Nerd also says, last donation for the day. Can I get a till this day in the chat?
To this day.
Nice. Man, what a shame. The world is so it's such a lie. The people who are of the world, you know? Google, according to Revolver, there was these headlines. Google is hiding negative Black Lives Matter search suggestions. And we already knew that they were meddling with stuff. They were openly meddling with results for Jesse Lee Peterson, not just in YouTube itself, but in Google as well. I don't know if his channel comes up now, but for months or maybe a year or more, it was not coming up at all in Google searches. Everything but his YouTube channel. And YouTube is a Google thing, but they purposely suppressed him in searches and his channel in Google and in YouTube. Crazy, huh? And he's a solution. He is what he's pushing for is part of the solution, or is the solution, honestly. Christianity, forgiveness, but they hate the truth. They hate the truth. And they suppress whites like crazy who are telling the truth. Sick people. Zuckerberg personally intervenes. This is another Revolver.news headline. Zuckerberg, as in Mark Zuckerberg, the head of Facebook, personally intervenes after one of his employees defends the police. And questioning racial bias after the Jacob Blake shooting. This is according to a report, right? A Facebook employee shared a post to the site's internal messaging board, Workspace, where he defended well-intentioned law enforcement officers who have been victimized by society's conformity to a lie, according to a report obtained by the far-left anti-American Daily Beast. The post was titled, "In Support of Law Enforcement and Black Lives." The employee questioned the role of race in police shootings. Very good question. And claimed that victims of police violence are often under the influence of drugs or did not listen to officers' orders. He said, "My heart goes out to the Blake family. It also goes out to the well-intentioned law enforcement officers." He said, "What if racial, economic, and crime and incarceration gaps cannot close without addressing personal responsibility and adherence to the law?" Sounds like a reasonable, right person. So what did Zuckerberg say? He intervened and posted a note on the channel where he wrote that he did not agree with the discussion surrounding real issues faced by African Americans. We designed our respectful communications policy to allow people to discuss very different viewpoints, but I'm concerned some people are doing that without appreciating the impact their words are having on our black community. What a sucker. Mark Zuckerberg. Anyway, we're overtime. I gotta end. These people are weak and phony. That's why it's nice to have a president who's not. And more and more of you. Right on. Okay, guys, thehakereport.com for my stuff, rebuildingtheman.com/church. I'm going to shoot for a new Sunday service premiere on the Bond Rebuilding the Man YouTube channel, 4 p.m. my time today, which would be, I don't know, figure it out. rebuildingtheman.com/church, jesseleepeterson.com for Jesse's stuff. All right, guys, take care.